Here I am. I'm not seeing my own picture, but maybe it will appear.
Not to
Anyway,
worry, we see you. So that's good.
okay. So uh, uh, many of the courses that you've heard about is are about what it is to be human, and obviously that's a highlight of what I'm talking about. But my point is that what it is to be human doesn't stay the same at all times. It changes. And those changes have come very fast. I wrote an article called The Mentality of Homo Interneticus, meaning internet human, basically about 15 years ago. But what I've realized is that it needs a great deal of updating, because that was just before smartphones came in, and it was just before social media became common. So the internet already existed, but what social media and smartphones have done has made it possible for everyone in the world practically, or at least half the people in the world, which is billions of people, to seek prominence, to find out who they are in connection with other people elsewhere, to alter the way that different people in the world see them, and to try to find ways to capture attention, one of which turns out to be by lying. And so just yesterday, I think it was, President Obama spoke at Stanford saying that the major social media companies like Facebook and Twitter need to be curbed as to what they do and the algorithms they produce. And while I don't disagree that some attention needs to be focused on that, I think the problem is deeper, because it's the way our human nature interacts with the medium, and the medium fits what we partly want, at least, is what changes us. And this would happen regardless of whether it was Mark Zuckerberg or somebody else, or even Elon Musk or somebody else. Those people, or some of those people, happen to choose the right thing to do, but even then it was somewhat by chance. And for instance, introducing the like button on Facebook, or introducing the idea of sharing, which came from Twitter and so forth. Those things were coincidental, but they had a huge effect, because that's just what people wanted to be able to do, for reasons that are fundamental to who humans are, but also at the same time changes them, because it changes their environment and their possibilities in such significant ways, our environment and our possibilities. And so I am going to try to talk about that in terms of a number of different connections that I think it's important to make. The way the internet affects our ideas of time, let's say, the way it affects how we think and what we think we are, the way it helps us decide or not decide what is true, and how we work in a very fundamental way, which is really understood, I think, how fundamentally the internet has changed our sense of what work is for many people, and who our friends are, which I will be discussing in conjunction with Morgan Ames of the UCB School of Information. And in addition to that, I do think it's important to situate all this in time. As you may well know, physical anthropologists, those who study the physical basis of what it is to be human in various ways, believe that modern humans, as they call them, are about 100,000 years old. Namely, all the people who live on the planet everywhere are basically the same. But in another way, we can change, and these changes have occurred, the ones we really are very aware of, much more recently in this 100,000 year history. So if we go back roughly 2,500 years, that's when writing came into existence. And first, very few people could write, but then more and more. And a second thing that then happened about 500 years ago, of course, at least in the West, was movable type and printing. And the fact that we could read printed books, we could write printed books, that again had an enormous effect on who at least a substantial portion of humans were, but not nearly as many as have been affected by the internet. In just the 15 years since I wrote about the mentality of Homo interneticus. So I think we have to understand how rapidly we're changing, that there's a new generation which ultimately probably thinks in entirely different ways, and that it's difficult to predict how that change will continue, but it matters tremendously to our sense of what being human is and how we deal with everything from politics to daily life, to work, to just understanding who we are. And so I'm going to be focusing on all of that. I think it will be an interesting class, and I will be very interested in hearing the students' experiences, not only their own individual experiences of the internet, but how we experience the world around us. Because I take it that many of the students will be retired. I may be older than many of you, but nonetheless, it will be interesting to think about what our children and grandchildren are like and how they're different from us, or how we notice something different about what fascinates them and what interests them, or just how they are in the world. And so these are all things that we're going to try to discuss and make sense of in a deep way about what humanity has been and now is. Thank you.